All right, Survey of Art, we are going to go over our first assignment today. You'll work on this assignment today and tomorrow. You don't have to finish this whole slideshow today. I'd say get through about half of it and then move on to the next half for tomorrow. The assignment will be due Monday. I will go through everything in this video slide by slide, but I will also post the slideshow so you can kind of just go through those individually as well. I'll give examples for everything and kind of what I expect from you from this first assignment. So let's dive in. Survey of art, you're pretty much learning what the elements of art are and how to apply them. So the elements of art are like the words, and the principal designs are like the sentences, and the artwork you make is like the paragraph. So use the elements and the principles to build your artwork, basically. What you're going to do today and tomorrow are create visual notes. These are required. It's worth 25 points. You're going to write the definition for each element, and then you're going to draw a visual representation of it. So just follow the directions per slide. I will give you examples for each one. So these are the 7 elements of art. Like I said, the building blocks of art. So we've got line, space, color, texture, value, form, and shape. Not necessarily in that order, but those are them. Now, in this slide, I'm giving you a visual representation of all of those elements using the same image. So we can see line done in a Converse shoe, we can see color, we can see space. They're all the same one. When you're creating your notes, I suggest using the same reference. And I'll give you some different examples of it. It's easier, I think, to do it that way. But if you want to make a different picture for every single one, totally fine by me. It's up to you. So here are some student examples from the past. Here's one that is using a teddy bear for each example. So they've got the definition, they've got a picture that is required for each one and the requirements of that picture. And it's done in a really nice, neat way. The pictures have good effort in them. They look great. Here's another student example, set up a little bit different. Totally fine how you want to lay this out on. You can do this on notebook paper, you can do this on white paper. If you didn't pick up supplies from me, literally any kind of paper you have ready, is totally up to you that you're doing this first assignment on. It could be lined paper, doesn't matter. But again, here, they're using a relatively similar image for everyone. They're using the fish, and it's showing those different elements organized visually that way. So they've got the definition and the image. So our first element is line. The definition of line is a dot that moves or a continuous mark on a surface. So for this visual representation or drawing, you're going to draw one object and show 5 or more kinds of line. So there's 2 options here shown, and each has at least 5 options of line in it. They could be squiggly lines, they could be swirly lines, they could be cross-hatched lines, they could be like dashed or jagged. However you want to create those lines, they don't have to be, they just can be 5 different kinds. Here is my example that I drew. So there's my definition. There's my little lion down there. He's got many different kinds of line in there, so at least 5 kinds. The second element is shape. So the definition of shape is a flat enclosed figure. So line can make a shape, but unless it's enclosed itself in, it's not going to. So that's kind of the difference between line and shape. It's 2-dimensional, so there's only height and width. There's no depth here, so we're going with just flat 2D. So what you're going to do is draw 2 different pictures. One of your objects is going to have no interior shapes, so nothing inside, like we see this blue one here. There's just the outline shape, but it's completely enclosed. Then you're going to draw another one that has interior shapes. So it's going to have the shape of the shoe or whatever you're drawing, plus extra interior shapes. Now, if you want to color them, perfectly great, extra effort. If you don't want to, you don't necessarily have to, though. But everything should look flat. Don't try to make it look 3D. Here's my example. So I've got my definition, I've got the outline, enclosed shape of my lion head, and then the shape that has interior shapes inside of it as well. Your next element that we're going to talk about is texture. So this is the way something feels, or more often in art, the way that it looks like it feels. So this Converse right here looks like it's spiky. This one looks like it's scaly. It looks like there's fuzzy stuff stuck to it down here. So what you're going to do is draw one object, whatever object you're drawing, and show 3 different kinds of texture in that object. So here, this is the way something feels or looks like it feels is my definition. And I drew my little lion. He's got spiky hair here. He's got soft, fuzzy, curly hair over his ears. He's got little water droplets that look like they're wet. So those are my 3 different kinds of texture. The next element we're going to look at is color. So the definition of color is up here. Color is seen when the light reflects off an object and back to your eye. So what you're going to do is create 2 different images, and each of them is going to have a different color scheme. So a color scheme is how you combine colors together to create your image. One color scheme you could choose from is cool colors. So if you think about cool colors, think about the cold blues, greens, purples, maybe sometimes yellow. When you think of warm colors, it's reds, oranges, yellows, and maybe sometimes purple. There's like those verge colors. If something's a little bit of a redder purple, it's warm. If it's a cooler purple or like a bluer purple, it's cold. So you could use one of those color schemes. Like here, this top Converse is a warm color scheme, and the bottom Converse is a cool color scheme. Or you could choose complementary colors for them. So complementary colors are opposite of each other on the color wheel. So think like red and green, purple and yellow, blue and orange. The Vikings are purple and yellow, so that's an easy one for me to remember. The Broncos are orange and blue, things like that. So again, draw 2 objects and each should use a different color scheme. You could do 2 complementary color ones as long as they're different color schemes. Here's my example. I've got my little Broncos lion and my little Go Vikes lion. So our next one is space. Space can be a little bit more difficult to represent or a little bit more difficult to understand, but I think these visual representations make it pretty easy. So the definition of space is the distance or area around, between, and within a component of artwork. So if I was drawing these, the space is around these, it's in between these, and it's like a part of the complete artwork. So I want you to draw 2 objects. You don't have to draw 2 separate pictures, but 2 objects, and make either one smaller than the other or one overlapping the other. Or you can do both. Like this one is smaller and it's in the background being overlapped, or this one's just sitting behind it and it's the same size. That shows that there's space and distance. Like these ones are relatively the same size, but one is behind the other. This one looks smaller, and so it looks farther away in the distance. So that's space. Here's my example. I've got my little guy in the back and my big guy in the front, or I've got my sad guy being overlapped by my happy guy. So value, my picture's a little blurry here, but value is the brightness and darkness of a color. So when you're doing this, you can do this in just like pencil and use a gray value scale. So you're going from like light gray or white to light gray to medium gray to black or something. Or you could use colored pencils if you have them, or crayons, whatever you've got on hand if you haven't grabbed supplies from me yet. So you're going to draw one object and show 3 different values. So right here we have white, we have light gray, we've got medium gray, and we have black. So this one actually has 4 values in it. So whatever image you're going to use, at least 3 different values need to be shown. If you're using a pencil, you can just, or colored pencils, you can just draw really lightly, draw a little bit more medium, and then draw really heavy for your darker areas. Here's my example. I've got like a medium or a light, a medium, and then a dark color here. And I've also got like an intermediate little furry stuff back here. The last one in the slideshow is form. So form has height. So the height of the shoe, the width of the shoe, and the depth of the shoe. And the way that we show height, width, and depth is by shadowing. So this one looks relatively similar to the value one, except for the fact that this shoe has a cast shadow. So like pretend this little circle up here and these arrows is our sun. This is our light direction. So where the light hits, it's going to be the whitest and brightest. And then on that other edge, it's going to get darker and darker to the dark side. So here in our little converse circle, we've got a light, a mid, and then a really dark edge. Same thing with the cast shadow. So the shadow that's the darkest is right underneath our shoe, then it gets lighter, and then lightest on the outside edge. So what you're going to do is draw an object and show shadow using a light source, like the example here, and then a cast shadow on one side. So here's my little lion face. My light source is here. So it goes to a light, to a medium, to a dark on my image, and then I have my cast shadow underneath. Another good way to represent form is like in a cube. So a square here would have just height and width, but it also has that depth, and that's what turns something three-dimensional. So on Google Classroom, this slideshow is shown for you. You have directions in each one of these slides. So again, what you're going to do is make sure you're writing the definition and then a visual representation of that. Again, you could do it like this person did. We used to do them on folders when we had them in school. Is one big piece. You could do them like I did on multiple sheets. Whatever paper you have available is totally up to you. The slideshow is going to be attached in Google Classroom with this video, so you can stop and start as you please. This will be due on Monday, and then we'll start something new on Monday. If you have not picked up supplies from me, please send me an email so I know who to deliver supplies to, or if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, that's that.